The fashion world is remembering an iconic and legendary designer today. Chanel's creative director, Karl Lagerfeld, has died. He was 85 years old. Lagerfeld is renowned for his work with luxury fashion brands. He's also famous for his very distinct appearance. You know it, tinted sunglasses and a ponytail. Canadian-born supermodel Coco Rocha worked with Lagerfeld on numerous fashion projects, and our chase team reached Coco in New York. So glad you could share your stories with us, Coco. I looked at your social media, and your comments say he was the one and only, that Karl Lagerfeld was a giant in your industry. What made him that one and only and a giant?
Wow, that's a big question. I mean, Karl Lagerfeld, if you don't even know fashion, by just seeing that image of him, you knew him, and that's what made him so giant, so big. Karl Lagerfeld, he is, of course, the DNA pretty much of Chanel now. Besides Coco Chanel herself, you think of Coco, you think of Karl Lagerfeld. He truly was amazing. When he put on a show, he wanted to perform. I remember one specifically, it was an iceberg. And he literally said to me, took me aside and was like, who else could put an iceberg in this building besides myself? So he was literally trying to outdo himself each and every time. And I think we all could say that he for sure did that. So whoever is replacing him has some massive shoes to fill.
When you heard the news, we all remember when certain important, iconic figures in our lives die. Where were you and how did it hit you?
I'm right here at what is Coco Rocha model camp. So there's about 14 models here, and I was making breakfast for them. And the news broke on our social media that he had unfortunately died. And of course, all of us straight away looking at our phones and can't imagine it. I mean, of course we do know, he's much older than a lot of our designers, but you just never think he's gonna go.
He was 85, although I think he was a little coy about his age. You've already said he showed a sense of humor with that iceberg. Was there also a side where he was just so focused that it had to be right and he would get upset if it wasn't?
I never saw him upset, but I remember him when we would do photo shoots. He believed in doing photo shoots through the night because he honestly used every hour doing something. I honestly don't know how he slept. Because every hour through the day, the 24 hours, he was doing something. And in fact, when we would shoot, it would be nighttime, and not only would it be my shoot, but he'd be shooting maybe 3 different projects at the same time. So when I'm in makeup, another model for another different campaign or different photo shoot would be shooting. And then when it was my turn, she would go into hair and makeup, constantly working. I have never seen someone have such a work ethic like him. So yes, I remember him as always wanting to just do more, always doing as much as he possibly can. And my favorite moment with him was shooting, I think it was either one of the campaigns or for Coco Light, and he wanted these gloves on. I was portraying him, and he wanted these certain gloves, and of course he had gloves on him, he could have just taken them off, but he went home, found these specific gloves, and brought them back to the photo shoot and put them on me. And I've always remembered thinking like, wow, I have Karl's real own gloves on me right now, and I am portraying him. So I have a lot of fond memories, and I know we're seeing floods of stories on social media coming out, and it's nice to think back on him and also just learn about him again.
You obviously have a very soft spot for him. It seems that he had the same for you. Coco, we have a picture of you that it was in Karl's personal library in Paris. Now, this picture was taken 8 years ago. When you look at that now, and it might be a little blurry, whatever, but does it sort of warm your heart to know how much of an impact you had on him?
I mean, yes, I'm honored to even think that you think that. It's amazing when someone like that, a giant, knows who you are, that you have a personal relationship. In my bedroom back home, I have an amazing shot that he printed out for me right there and then at one of my shoots of me, and he signed it. And it's so funny because the signature is by accidentally upside down. And he wrote this lovely note to me, but it's so personal, and that just that little touch of the fact that he had written it upside down. I have put it up on my wall, and I see it every single day. So especially going to sleep tonight, I will be definitely thinking of Karl Lagerfeld.
Final question for you, Coco. Karl Lagerfeld dresses people like you who walk down a runway, who wear clothing that I could never in my wildest dreams even imagine wearing. But he's trickled down to, you know, people who want to look fashionable and afford it at the same time. How do you manage that success at the high end of haute couture and also for regular, normal, everyday people?
Yeah, well, the fashion industry, I think for years was more about aspirational. It wasn't necessarily for everyday individuals. But then over the years, and thankfully to social media as well, it kind of made it more broad. Everyone could be part of this world, and so it should be. I think Karl, especially with Chanel, they saw that early on and thought of ways to merge different brands and businesses and come together, which wasn't very normal at the time, even maybe confusing. And yet he thought, you know what, a Chanel brand should come to Macy's. And I remember doing the campaign for that. And to people, that was amazing to think Karl would ever do such a thing like that. Yet nowadays, that makes total sense. So he really actually opened a way to a lot of designers looking at designing differently.
I want to thank you for your time, and I know you'll be sharing lots of stories. I appreciate those you've shared with us. You take care.
Thank you, you too.
Supermodel Coco Rocha speaking to us from New York.